What's up? What's up? Welcome back, clarifiers. Today is day 12 of 12 that we're going live with Tony and I, or at least a first commitment of 12 days. He should be on any moment as per usual. Thank you for joining. And today we're going to be going into there's three pillars or three phases to learning how to catch your programs and reprogram your mind. Today we're going to be going into pillar 2 because over the last 5 days, we've really zoomed in onto the first one. So, I'll be letting you know Tony should be joining any moment. He might be a second or two late. Maybe not. We'll see. It's still 12:58. Yeah, so hang in there. It's 12:59. Yeah, today is going to be phase 2. It's taking what we've learned so far and taking it a little deeper, going into the science behind it and getting a better, deeper understanding. So instead of just unloading everything on you, it's divided into three phases. Phase 1 is get the 50,000 foot view. Phase 2 or pillar 2 is getting into seeing the forest, and then the last phase is actually getting the step-by-step process. Give me a second, let me text Anthony. Going live, guys. We are going live. Connecting Tony.
What's up, what's up?
Yo, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. USA?
I'm doing fairly well. Yeah, it's whenever I have to use a bazillion pounds of energy, brain energy, it's always like the brain really feels full. So, yeah, how about yourself?
It's a pretty good day. I was building a shed and cut some trees, so it was fun. Gonna be doing that tomorrow. It was a glorious day outside.
Nice.
And yeah, can't really complain.
Cool. Well,
Don't
let's
want to.
introduce ourselves and jump right into it today.
Alrighty, my name is Anthony Desetnikov, and I am what I like to call a student of life. A student of life is simply somebody who uses every life experience as a lesson, treats life like a school, and basically looks for patterns and tries to understand the sublime information that's governing the events that happen in your life. And for work, I do construction for a custom home building company, Bella Home Builders, and yeah, that's who I am.
Awesome. Well, my name's Lexi, and I've started the clarifiers, where I love helping people understand things. And this whole series has been about focusing on how to catch your programs and rewrite the code in your brain. And that's what today is day 12 about, our lives. Yeah, that's an introduction to me. I love helping people understand things at a simpler scale and more practical application. And it's very easy to get lost in the sauce, and that's what I focus on, is how do you simplify so that you can apply. How's that for a rhymer?
That's a make a sense.
Simplify to apply. Yeah, so discover your program and rewrite your code. How am I the author of my life? That's the general gist today. And today's my day to shine. Yesterday's was Tony's. Today's mine. And today I wanted to zoom into, as I was sharing when I got on here, Anthony was saying that today, this whole process of how do you really catch that you are the author of your life, it comes in three phases or three pillars. Phase, pillar, however you want to call it.
So we're just going to outline what those three are today?
Well, yesterday, over the last 4 days, we've clarified the pillar 1, and today I just want to simply go into pillar 2, because we already did the third one in the beginning, the actual steps, but today I just want to share the centerpiece, the in-between. And yeah, that being said, I'll just put my camera on. Whoop-a. I'll flip the camera.
Today's May 5th, right?
Cinco de Mayo.
See?
Oh, really? It's true. Okay. And Tony, is this on your top left right here?
No, it's like in the middle of the screen.
Well, is this your top left right here?
Yes.
Okay. Sweet. You'd think I'd remember by now. Well, stop thinking. Oh, how did I do this? Ah, okay, there we go. Trying to remember how I did this. Boom. Is this good?
Yep.
You can see it
There
well?
we go. Now I can see the top corner of the paper.
Okay. And so the story continues and it unfolds. Pillar 2 of the 3-phase process of how to discover your program and rewrite your code. So the first one was a general 50,000-foot view, and this is what it looked like. And in phase 2, what we're going to do is really zoom in into the boom moments and then your brain function, the functioning of your brain a little more so you could actually understand what your brain does, so that in phase 3 we can actually take all that and apply it and then help ourselves become kick butt kind of people and be able to
Become
catch
awareness masters.
Yep, go from boom to bam. Awareness masters. Okay, and this is how it goes. And this phase also starts off exactly like our previous one, and we'll just dive right into it. So anything and everything you need to know about success is summarized in the following image, and all of success is incredibly basic. It doesn't get any more complex than this. And so the following, hold on a second, I gotta, just this tripod here is a little funky. It's on the corner of the table. So so this is how it looks. So you have to first know where you are, okay? You got to know point A. R, I'm just going to write A. You got to know where you are. And secondly, you need to know where you want to be. And so, simply put, between where you are, success looks just like this. And it's very important to understand. As long as you can see A clearly and you can see B clearly, you can get anything you dream of in your life. It's really that simple. Does that resonate with you, Tony? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so all of success, it feels very confusing and very challenging for a person who has never actually succeeded or achieved anything in their life that they felt like, yeah, I achieved it. Because if you look at the alphabet, which can help us very well, what are the first three letters, Anthony, of the alphabet?
A, B, C.
Yeah. But in life and success, you first have to see A clearly, then you have to see B, and then you can go on from there. So success seems as if it's like flipped upside down or flipped backwards. It's like me having to teach you B through Z to understand A. That would be kind of confusing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, tidbit.
So, and that's why it seems confusing. So when we see where we are, and we can see where we want to be, it gets really clear where you need to go and what you need to do to achieve that thing. So this is one of the biggest things I wanna really nail into the mind to understand. It's that simple. It doesn't get any more complicated, and that's the beauty of it. And as we know, Jim Rohn said, what is easy to do is also easy not to do. What is easy to understand is also can feel like easy to confuse. So, like I said, in going back to our original picture here, I'm going to be focusing in now into the boom moment. So we've just gone through all this, and all of a sudden you are in a boom moment. So we're going to dive into, in that case, it's block 10, okay? So let's dive right into it. You just had a boom moment, okay? A boom moment. And you're wondering, okay, what is that? Well, I'd like to dive into what is an actual boom moment. So you have some thought or feeling just take over your brain or just overwhelms you. imagine last time you felt overwhelmed or you felt some thought that really just overwhelmed you or took over your brain. Can you think of a thought like that? Like
Yeah,
last time
well,
that happened to you? So it doesn't matter how long ago, just any time throughout your life where you're walking through the field, the forest, and you're drinking a cup of coffee, and all of a sudden a bunch of this moment of emotion comes in. You're just like feeling overwhelmed, and you just overtook your brain. Like I keep on saying, like last week, or 2 weeks ago at this point, all of a sudden I'm like, I don't want to continue doing this. This is like too much. That's what a boom moment is. It's an emotional roller coaster. That's the easy way you can explain it. An emotional moment, an emotional roller coaster. And so that boom moment is what you just experienced. What, to better, easier explain, is called the last domino. And so in the line of dominoes, and you are familiar with what dominoes are, right? And how dominoes work?
yep.
Okay. And so you just experienced the last domino. It's the last domino in the chain of dominoes. So imagine this. There's this crazy thing about dominoes that one domino that's this big, say 1 inch, can take down the next domino that's twice as big. So it's 2 inches big. And then the next domino is 4 inches big. And then it gets bigger, bigger, 8, 64, right? And what's 64? Yeah, then you go to 128 inches. So as you see, and then as they're hitting each other, so it falls, the last domino falls, and you got this like wind coming at you, and here you are. Boom. You got all this last domino falls, and then you got this boom moment, okay? And this boom moment is this thing specifically right there, okay? You're just feeling overwhelmed, overempowered by this emotion. You feel like giving up or just like crawling into bed or just getting away or really getting into some kind of mode of anger. Well, if you look at the numbers, if you start with a 1 inch domino, in just 8 short steps, that domino is going to be a little over 10 feet tall. And that's
Dang.
this 10 foot domino. And again, that's this moment right here. It's that boom moment. And so what we really want to do, and these things, they don't come on a schedule. They come at their own schedule, not when we want them to. And so the awesome thing about this moment right here, this domino moment, or this last domino, is that what we want to do is recognize it for what it is. And what it is, right here, it's a program that's running in your brain. In other words, it's a line of code. And that's a beautiful thing. Just like any code, if you're familiar with coding, if you're not, the cool thing about coding is you can go back and re-edit it and then make a different line of code, make the program do something else. Same program, is just you fix the line of code, and then now the whole program can do something completely different. So now we're going to jump, keeping that in mind, we just looked a little bit into this. Now we're going to go into this block, which are going to be the 2 blocks that we're going to be looking at, and look a little deeper behind what is our brain look like and what is it, its functions. How does it function? Because once we understand that, we could plug this in and then really make a difference to how we see our quote-unquote negative experiences. I mentioned this in our previous video, but I'd like to actually read to you the whole quote. In 1934, Dr. Thurman Fleet said, "Mind is an activity and not a thing. No one has ever seen the mind. However, we must have an image or there is no order in the mind." Then he said, "I will create an image and eliminate the confusion." And so, what did that look like? I'm only going to draw you a part of what he drew. There's your mind, your brain, and he divided it in half. And so the top part is a conscious mind. The bottom part is the subconscious mind. there's another beautiful quote that I read. When I read it, I was like, oh, this is so awesome, which is another explanation of our conscious subconscious mind. And so it goes like this. The part of our mind that gathers knowledge, which is this top part, right? So the part of our mind that gathers knowledge is not the part that controls the instrument we are living in, which is this part of our mind. Again, let me read to you the whole thing. The part of our mind that gathers knowledge is not the part that controls the instrument we are living in. The top part of the top part of the half circle is the gathering section. So we'll just write gathers. Where the bottom part, it controls. And so the conscious mind, in which ways does it actually gather information? And we touched on this, and we're going to touch it on a little more today. So I'm just going to draw a half circle, and on the top part, we have things like our sight, our smell, our taste, our hearing, and our touch. These are the things all of us are very familiar with. I'm going to touch very lightly into another thing through what methods we get information into us, into our conscious mind. And that's what's called higher faculties. And I'm just going to write HF. Our intellectual factors. And I'm going to kind of cross it out like this, because for most of us, this part of information gathering, we're not aware of it. We have not been taught it. And what is this? And the acronym is like this. It's WII, W-I-I, RPM. Okay, what that stands for is our will, intuition, our imagination, our reasoning.
Can you go back to after you did the 5 senses? I kind of lost you on the...
Okay. So the 5 senses are what we are very aware of, how we get information, how we gather information. So this is what all of us are aware of. This is how we gather information. There's another way we gather information. It's through our higher faculties. It's HF, which are called the intellectual factors.
Okay, so higher faculties.
And so I said I'm kind of...
And then intellectual faculties. That's where I was confused.
Yep.
Because you just wrote
so the intellectual faculty is the higher. Yep. So, and the reason I kind of went like this to it, crossed it out a little, shaded it in, is because that's how most of us see this. It's very foggy for us. We're not taught about this much. We know about it, but we are not taught about it because this is another method through which we get information into our... This is how we gather information. And so... WII, RPM, again, stands for will, intuition, imagination, reasoning, perception, and memory. So all these things...
So it's will...
Intuition.
So W-I-I dash RPM.
Yeah, so I created that acronym to try to be able to... So you can remember easily. Or so I could remember easy initially.
So can you repeat it one more time?
The will, intuition, imagination, reasoning, perception, and memory. This right here...
Intuition... you said will, intuition, intelligence?
Imagination.
Imagination. Amen. And then R was...
Reasoning, perception, and memory.
Reasoning, perception, memory. Alright, there we go. Right now.
Okay. And so that's what is... We're not going to go into that at all today, but we are going to be in phase 3, going to be going a lot more. That's going to be talked about a little more. If you want to learn a whole lot more, Bob Proctor talks a lot about this. This is his gig right here. And so you're wondering, okay, that's where we gather information, get information, but what happens in the subconscious mind? Where the interesting thing is, this is where our boom moments originate. Okay? This is where our triggers and our emotions are. And it's very important to understand that boom moments, this is where they reside. Very often, if you just look back in your own life or last couple times you had those experiences with people or with situations, it just gets out of control and you're like, holy crap, how did I make something so little just explode so much in this moment? Where you might, I don't know, like stub your toe and the next thing you know, you're like, I hate life kind of mindset. And that happens to everybody to some degree. To some it's lighter, to some it's much more. And that's where that boom moment, it resides in our subconscious. Now, the interesting thing about the mind, if you take this whole thing right here, our mind on a daily basis has about 70,000 thoughts a day going through it. When I heard that, I was like, man, my mind was blown. And now, out of those 70,000 thoughts, I'm going to draw that circle again, just a very tiny one this time. Only 5% of those thoughts on a daily basis are original thoughts, which come from this part right here, our sight, smell, touch, hearing, taste. Whereas the rest of the 95% of the thoughts are old thoughts. What's very, very important to understand or remember, keep in your mind, our conscious mind can only process about 2,000 bits of data per second, plus or minus a few thousand, depending on who you listen to.
2,000 bits, you said?
Yeah, 2,000 bits. Whereas our subconscious mind, take a guess, Anthony, how many bits a second it can process, unless you know it.
Billion.
Last I heard,
40 trillion.
40 trillion bits a second. Because imagine your body's trying to run itself and making it as simple as possible. So if you notice, it takes a lot of juice and energy to run your conscious mind. So 95% of our thoughts are old thoughts, as well as old habits, and that's what old thoughts are, our old habits, and all that reside in our subconscious mind. And this is where the kicker is, because it's in our subconscious mind is where, guess what else happens? The domino effect. That's where it happens. Most of the time, you're not aware of it, that it's even happening, that has already begun that process. It just happens. And all this domino effect is, it's just your current code running. So it's your code that's running so that it could produce a feeling in your body. Because once your subconscious mind, you've experienced a feeling and you connected that with an emotion, and I guess you liked it, and believe it or not, we get addicted to hatred just as we get addicted to love. And so once you get addicted, it goes into our subconscious mind, and now that it's in subconscious mind, our body's like, okay, we want to create these emotions and feelings. So we experience the boom moment, the domino effect just happened, which is another way to explain this code has just been running so that it could produce a feeling in you. And why does it do this? Because body loves consistency. The less you think about it, the more it becomes habitual, then you can be sure that it's going to happen again and again and again. Until you go backwards, catch the program, and rewrite the code. And so you might be wondering, okay, what if I want to change my code? What do I do? Well, I'm glad you asked, Anthony. Dang, man.
You read my
Just
mind.
give me a second, bro. Getting right to it. And so you might be wondering, okay, so boom. So what if I want to change? Have you ever met a person, Anthony, that did not want to change anything in their life? Or
Not
was
that I
there
can
ever a moment
recall
in
or
your
think
life that
of.
was there ever a moment in your life that you did not want to improve your life?
No.
Same here. Welcome to the human club, because that sounds very, very human-like. And so that's one of the things about us. We always want to improve. We always want to change. And so what happens is this. So let's draw this circle again with the half line. And remember that 95% of the things we do is old news, 5% is new stuff. And so we try to use our conscious mind. We create a desired outcome that we want. We create a desire. And using our conscious mind, the only thing we are taught to use is willpower. And this is really, the best example is gyms get booked up at the beginning of the year, and by February, it's back to business as usual. All those people are using willpower. You start exercising, you get all excited. Think about even this 12 video series. The first couple days it was exciting, and then all of a sudden we're like, it's a commitment. We got to do this. And it happens like that with everything in life. When you commit to something, to a desire from your conscious mind, you're like, okay, this is the desire, so I'm going to make myself. Come hell or high water, I will make this happen. The only thing is, willpower eventually runs out. We start with a full tank in the morning, and it gets depleted throughout the day. There was even a whole thing done on judges, a study that when judges before lunch gave out the harshest, on average, gave out the harshest sentences. After lunch, before lunch, because they wanted to eat fast, they gave out the lightest sentences. But after they ate and their brain was back to a normal state and it has all that energy, now they can think, and all of a sudden the sentences get harsher. And then towards the end of the day, the sentences get lighter. and that's what we're talking about. Willpower eventually runs out, and all of a sudden, guess what? Once our willpower runs out, we have no choice but to go back. So I'm going to write this back to old program. Running your brain. And so the process repeats. You want to lose some weight, you put in some willpower, you lose just enough weight, and then you're like, I don't want to put the energy anymore, and then you go back to your old program of, I'm fat, I'm chunky, I'm not healthy, I don't eat well, I do this or I do that. And that is the program that is running in our brain. And so once our willpower runs out, it goes right back to that program. And so the key, coming in for the touchdown, the key is to catch the line of code. Let me write that down. It's the last thing we're going to write down for today. I had a little brain fart on how to write the word catch. Catch one. Our goal is to catch one line of code at a time. And in parentheses, I'll just write as they arrive on their own schedule. So that you can take apart the dominoes.
Catch one line of code at a time as they arrive on their schedule so you can take down the dominoes.
Yep. So you can take, yeah, I just wrote so you can take apart the dominoes.
Okay, take apart. Perfect.
And that's this second pillar where all success, all of us want to achieve a better life. This process is seeing that a boom moment is really a domino effect. And since it's a domino effect, you can work your way backwards. Another way to put this domino effect is it's a program in your subconscious mind. It's just a line of code. And once you learn how to change that line of code, the program spits out a different result. Although it's the same experiences, they will produce a different outcome in your life. Instead of
Different
taking you
feeling.
down, yes, it creates different feelings, and then it creates different outcomes in your actual physical life. That's what I meant. And that's where we just kind of went in really easily, briefly. Our conscious mind is the thing that gathers information, but our subconscious mind is what controls and changes us. This is where the boom moments lie.
Mm-hmm.
And so our thoughts are busy, our brains are busy 70,000 thoughts a day, and only 5% of those are original. But most people rely on their original thinking to try to make the change. So they try to use willpower, it runs out, and then they go back to their old self. And eventually, if they try to change one thing in their life one too many times and fail, guess what? They believe in the lie that they are a failure or they cannot achieve that one thing. Because they're trying to use 2,000 bits of data to overpower 40 trillion. I mean, just think about it. Look at the numbers. What are the chances of your conscious mind ever overtaking your subconscious mind? And so the goal is what we're asking ourselves is, okay, so how do I catch that one line of code as it comes in, and how do I change it? And that is what Pillar 3 is all about, is to catching these lines of code. Hold on a second. Bam. Yes. Ish.
Nice.
Hold on a second.
I like how it flows, because one gets you primed. This gets you perfectly set up for the actual process. This is Pillar 3, which is what we started this whole series off with. I actually want to show everybody all the data that I have collected from this 12-day series. So that's the new piece of paper right there. So as you can see, this is the information that I was able to write down and collect. As you can see from yesterday, it's really quite amazing how much data you can write down and how much clearer you can get doing this whole process. But now you guys have seen steps Pillar 1, 2, and 3 in action. Not in the right order, because we're still figuring this whole thing out, obviously. But it's really getting much clearer, and I feel like I could actually explain it. So those two friends I was telling you about, when I get a chance, I'm going to meet up with them and explain it to both of them and get some feedback.
So I'll be actually sharing this with a few older people and a few younger people. Today I'm going to meet up with a guy here.
Nice
Ah,
It's good for data, old or younger.
yes, yes. So I have to just simplify this a little more in sense of phase two. How do I put it like phase one so it's very simple? And then the last third phase is probably going to take a few more days of simplification of the
Hmm.
process itself. And yeah, so I have a few people who are already waiting for me. Today, I had a butt dial from an old friend from Oregon, and he's by old I mean he's a pretty new friend, but an old gentleman that I met while visiting in Oregon last year. Funny thing is, he said
Uh,
that he wanted to take a boat and come to Hawaii and then go to a big battle, Iwo Jima, when they were doing the bombardment. His dad was there, and he wanted to drop his ashes there. And so we just he accidentally butt dialed me, and then so we just talked, and I'm like, guess where I'm living now? He was supposed to be in Hawaii this time of year, but instead I'm in Hawaii. So it was
huh,
funny. But I'll be sharing it with him and a few people.
nice. Be interesting to see what they say,
Yeah.
feedback we get.
But your feedback
Whew.
for this overall, this phase two.
So overall, everything is pretty clear except the higher faculties and
That's where I wanted to leave that one off. Is just that hey, there's this thing, and not get into it at all.
yeah, which is why I think you shouldn't mention it at all. I think it should be something that's mentioned in stage 3. It's irrelevant and it was very confusing in the whole process when I had to ask you to re-explain it because my brain just kind of just like, wait, what?
Okay.
Because you touched on it but then didn't continue on. So that would be one thing. Um, Otherwise, everything else flowed very perfectly. I like how you um, reviewed success diagram and drew that out first, then went to boom moment, then incorporated the domino effect, um, and then shifted from the domino to the code, and then from there shifted over into. So I kind of wrote out step 1 was the success diagram, step 2 was the boom moment analogy, step 3 was where you switch into the conscious and subconscious mind image, and then step 4 was the daily thoughts basis, 70,000 thoughts on average. Step 5 is what do you do if you want to change. And step 6, or the key takeaway, is catch one line of code at a time as they arrive on their schedule so you can take apart the dominoes. So that's overall, I really liked it. It was very simple. And I mean, the only thing is I noticed you repeated certain statements like multiple times, but other than that, it everything was fine.
Okay. Okay.
For its intended purpose, I think it does a great job for now until we can figure out what might, be better to fine tune it.
Okay. Yeah, I think over the past over the last 2 weeks, I've been creating this. Let me show it to you. Is this thing right here, and so it explains the actual whole process. If you really want to learn to start how to catch the programs and rewrite your code, it starts like this. Pillar 1 and 2 is right here, where you're just a student. You're learning the information. Pillar 3 is you learn the application of the process. Pillar 4, or then that's in step 2. Step 3 is then you get into an accountability mastermind, or what I like to call board of directors. Six people can become members of a board of directors, which is it's a mastermind. You're getting together and actually going through the process itself. So once everybody has gone through that process at least a few times, well, my suggestion is always at least 2 to 3 times. Once everybody has done that on a live video and practiced it, then board of directors has to go out and share it with somebody. And you and I are right here. Is we started off right here. So right now we're going to be finishing here tomorrow, or the next. It's finally finishing off here. Then you go teach somebody, and then you can go. You graduate to being able to teach somebody else, like an actual class. Create your own board of directors, board of director group.
Nice. That breaks down the kind of steps, almost in a value
Yeah.
ladder format.
Yeah. So that's like overarching the movement forward, how you can move forward and elevate into the next level.
Got
Man,
it.
and that's how the cookie
Sweet.
crumbles.
It's crazy. We actually got it done, and it's a lot of information to process, but it was worth the work. It's definitely challenging, I would say, with work and all the stuff happening in my life at this moment, but I'm grateful I committed to 12 days.
Awesome. Well, on that note, how about we take a break tomorrow, and then we'll create a schedule again, or what's the next phase, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, let's take a break and then talk about it the day after and figure out what we'll do from there on.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you very much for joining the Clarifiers, Anthony and myself, Alexi, on this journey of 12 days on how to catch your programs and how to discover your programs and rewrite the code. There we go. How to
Nice.
discover your program and rewrite the code. You've seen the process live, actually coming together and coming about. There's just a little less. There's a little more hashing out to do, and it's pretty much ready to go and being shared with the world. Thank you very much, and until next time,
You're very
peace.
welcome. Thanks for having me. Peace, peace, everybody.